You pay more, thinking it's safer. But when these eyeliners were tested in a lab, the results were disturbing. On January 13, 2026, the Ontario Court of Justice handed down a $750,000 Canadian dollars penalty against Estée Lauder Cosmetics Limited. The charge, using PFAS, so-called forever chemicals, in its double wear and pure color eyeliner lines without notifying regulators, in direct violation of the Canadian Environmental Protection Act. 3 specific PFAS compounds, perfluorooctanoic acid, perfluorooctane sulfonic acid, and perfluorohexane sulfonic acid, were detected in unopened eyeliner samples. Each exceeded Health Canada's provisional health-based limit for cosmetics, and all 3 are listed as chemicals of concern. The lab that uncovered these chemicals used liquid chromatography tandem mass spectrometry, following Health Canada's official PFAS testing protocol. Estée Lauder's failure to disclose the use of these PFAS triggered not only the fine, but also mandatory shareholder notification and placement on Canada's Environmental Offenders Registry. The court ruling is now public record and has already been cited as a landmark in cosmetics law, making clear that the same environmental rules that apply to industrial chemicals also reach inside the makeup bag. Industry analysts and consumer groups responded within hours. Global Cosmetics News called the ruling a warning shot to every major beauty conglomerate. Business of Fashion described it as a wake-up call for ingredient transparency. Estée Lauder's share price slid as the company scrambled to recall affected eyeliners and audit its supply chain. The PFAS in question were traced to a third-party resin supplier in China, raising questions about quality control even at the top end of the market. The $750,000 Canadian dollars fine is only the beginning. Estée Lauder's name now appears on the Environmental Offenders Registry, a list that investors and advocacy groups track closely. For consumers who believe that luxury brands offered a safer product, the Ontario ruling plants a seed of doubt. The chemicals at the heart of this case are designed to last forever, and the reputational fallout may prove just as persistent. In December 2025, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration released a statement that cut through years of cosmetic marketing and industry reassurance. The agency's own words, "The available toxicological data are insufficient to draw definitive conclusions on the safety of most per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, when applied to the ocular surface or used in cosmetic formulations." This was not a technical footnote buried in a scientific journal. It was a direct admission published in the FDA's official Cosmetics Emerging Issues briefing and echoed in a national press release. The FDA acknowledged it cannot determine the safety of the majority of PFAS used in eyeliners, mascaras, and other eye area products. The agency pointed to missing data on how these chemicals behave when they come in contact with the eye, and noted that risk assessments are limited by the lack of chronic exposure studies and the wide variety of PFAS chain lengths found in makeup formulas. The language was clear: regulators do not have enough evidence to say whether these chemicals are safe or dangerous for eye use. This gap is not a trivial oversight. It means that, even after high-profile legal actions and product recalls, consumers are still left guessing about the risks. The FDA statement came as PFAS-contaminated eyeliners remained on store shelves and online marketplaces, sold under both luxury and drugstore brands. While the Ontario court ruling against Estée Lauder made headlines in Canada, the U.S. regulator's position is that the science is still incomplete. For anyone buying eyeliner in 2026, the reality is unsettling. The products may be labeled longwear, waterproof, or even clean, but when it comes to PFAS, the most authoritative voice in American consumer safety admits it simply does not know. The FDA's own words leave little room for comfort. Safety of PFAS in cosmetics cannot be determined with current data. A TikTok shop listing promised parents a lead-free eyeliner, complete with a cartoon mascot and the words "Safe for Kids" stamped across the box. The product was sold as playtime makeup, targeting children directly. But when regulators in Washington state sent a sample to LabCorp's toxicology division for analysis, the lab results told a different story. Using EPA method 6020A, the lab measured 4,000 parts per million of lead, 0.4% by weight. That's not just a little over the limit. Washington law caps lead in children's cosmetics at 5 parts per million. This so-called lead-free eyeliner contained 800 times more lead than the legal threshold. In practical terms, a single swipe delivered a dose of lead that would be illegal in any children's product, let alone something meant for the delicate skin around the eyes. The ICP-MS report, posted publicly by Pure Earth, confirmed the findings. The product's claim of being lead-free was not just misleading, it was a direct violation of state and federal law. Under FDA rules, a cosmetic with more than 10 parts per million of lead is considered adulterated and subject to enforcement. This eyeliner exceeded that by orders of magnitude. The packaging and online listing never mentioned the real risk. Instead, the seller relied on self-certification, a loophole that allowed the product to slip past automated compliance checks and remain on the market for months. No recall was issued, and the listing continued to target parents and children even after the lab results became public. The numbers are hard to ignore. 4,000 parts per million, 800 times the legal limit. A product sold as harmless, but carrying a toxic payload. The evidence leaves no room for doubt. Unchecked claims and weak oversight can turn a child's makeup kit into a source of immediate danger. Pure Earth's recent survey of traditional eyeliners opened a window onto a scale of contamination that most users never imagined. Researchers collected 56 samples of kohl, surma, and kajal from online retailers and U.S. stores, brands that are staples in cultural rituals and everyday routines. The team ran each sample through EPA-approved ICP-MS analysis, the same method used by regulatory agencies to detect trace metals. More than half of the products tested, 31 out of 56, contained lead above the FDA's legal limit of 10 parts per million. 9 samples crossed into extreme territory, with lead levels over 100,000 parts per million. At those concentrations, the product is not just contaminated, it's essentially made of lead. The problem is not limited to obscure imports or unmarked substances. Some of these eyeliners are sold as herbal, natural, or safe for kids, with packaging that never hints at their true contents. In the U.S., the FDA has classified traditional kohl and surma as illegal color additives for decades, but that has not stopped these items from appearing on Amazon, Walmart, and TikTok Shop. The term natural remains legally undefined in American cosmetics law, leaving brands free to use it however they please. There is no requirement to prove purity or safety, and no standardized testing before products reach consumers. The gap between risk and awareness is vast. In a 2025 survey, nearly 90% of traditional eyeliner users said they had no idea their products could contain lead. Most had never seen a warning label or safety notice. Instead, they trusted the words on the box and the cultural familiarity of the product. For Pure Earth's researchers, the findings were less a surprise than a confirmation. When regulation is loose and labeling is vague, exposure becomes a matter of chance. Dangerous levels of lead can slip through the cracks, hidden behind words like natural and herbal, and end up on the shelves and eyelids of unsuspecting buyers. Maybelline, Urban Decay, and NYX, 3 of the most recognizable names in eye makeup, are all owned by L'Oreal. Each has faced scrutiny for selling eyeliners linked to contamination issues, yet they remain staples in drugstores and beauty aisles worldwide. L'Oreal's supply chain has repeatedly surfaced in investigative reports, connecting the dots between pigment suppliers flagged for both lead and PFAS. Revlon, once a giant in American cosmetics, adds another layer. After filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2022, the company emerged under private equity control but eliminated its in-house safety committee and now relies on outside labs that skip PFAS and lead screening for new releases. Rounding out the list, Estee Lauder Double Wear, Pure Color, and a TikTok Shop kohl eyeliner marketed as lead-free for children. All 7 products share a common thread, either repeated lab detection of restricted substances or ownership by conglomerates that have failed basic safety oversight. For anyone looking to avoid risk, these names belong at the very top of any blacklist. Ilia Clean Line Gel Liner, RMS Beauty Straight Line Kohl, and W3LL People Bio Extreme. Liquid Liner stand apart for one reason. Each has cleared independent safety screens for both PFAS and lead. Lab tests using liquid chromatography tandem mass spectrometry and ICP-MS found no detectable traces of these chemicals, a result confirmed by full certificates of analysis. Ilia's gel liner holds an EWG score of 1, while RMS Beauty and W3LL People both display third-party certifications for clean organic ingredients. These products avoid the loopholes and vague claims that plague much of the market, choosing certified organic pigments and transparent labeling over self-declared natural status. For consumers, this means that safe, accessible eyeliners do exist, and passing every major benchmark is not only possible, but already available on store shelves. Clean beauty is not a marketing slogan here, it's a documented fact. Today, even as court fines, FDA reports, and shocking lab results make headlines, most eyeliner shelves stay unchanged, and warnings remain rare. In a market where natural means nothing legally, real safety starts with transparency. The eyes may be windows, but what we put near them is still opaque. Share your thoughts below.